ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भाम्
शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम्
अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम्
अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम्
वन्दे
वन्दे
गुरुपरम्पराम्
गुरुपरम्पराम्
सहनावतु
ॐ
सहनौ
सहनौ
भुनक्तु
पुनः पुनः
करवावहै
करवावहै
तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु
नावधीतमस्तु
मा
विद्विषावहै
शान्ति
ॐ
शान्ति
शान्ति
शान्तिः
शान्ति शान्तिः हरि ओम्
हरि ओम।
हरि ओम् तत्सत्.
ओम तत्सत।
So we are on the 19th verse of the 17th chapter. So we will chant. Shri Bhagavanuvacha
श्रीभगवानुवाच
Mudagrahinatmano yat
मूढग्राहेणात्मनो यत्
मूढग्राहेणात्मनो यत्
पीडया क्रियते तपः
पीडया
पीडया
क्रियते
क्रियते
तपः
तपः
परस्योत्सादनार्थं वा
परस्य
परस्योत्सादन वा
तत्तामसम् उदारतम्
तत्तामसमुदाहृतम्
कृतम्
So tapaha yat kriyate. That tat tapaha yat kriyate, which is practiced, how atmanaha pidaya. Here atma means the body. So atmanaha pidaya, by torturing the body. And what is the reason? Reasons can be different. Muda grahena, out of grasping an erroneous concept, out of error, thinking that this particular tapas is good for me. Va parasya utsaranartham, for the destruction of others. Tamasam udharatam is said to be tamasic tapaha. So we are going to discuss tamasic tapaha. I'll just mute you all before so that no disturbances are there in the recording. So Muda Grahena is clear wrong understanding regarding the purpose of Vedapurva. So Aviveka Nishchayena, clearly mistaken in the understanding of what that mantra is meant for. What is the purpose of the Purva Bhaga mantras? Primarily meant for, developing Vairagya. The entire Anatma Prapancha, the entire Anitya Prapancha, one should understand that it has no real value. And this understanding can come only through Viveka, through correct understanding, through discrimination. Therefore, Viveka is necessary to give you Vairagyam, and then only Jnanam can come. Okay. We should make a small note here that even in Rajasika Tapas, which we saw earlier, you can have the misunderstanding, but it is far more intense in Tamasika Tapas. So for a Tamasic person, why does he do tapas? He uses, because of a lack of understanding, he has inferior, ends in mind. And therefore, what should be used for a higher purpose, he uses for a inferior purpose. Like it's like using sandalwood for your fuel because you don't know the value of sandalwood. So this person doesn't understand the value of the tapas. And therefore that tapas he uses for inferior motives. So that's what is said here. Yat tapaha kriyate. That tapas is practiced with incorrect understanding, inferior motives. And all this, remember, is expanded by way of stories in our Puranas and Itihasas. So Mahabharata is full of it. Can you give can you give an example where tapas was used for inferior motive in Mahabharata? No? Anybody?
Mostly all tapas done for acquiring weapons which will harm others, destroy people.
That is one. Then there is the famous one where Drishtadyumna is born out of tapas. What was the purpose of Drishtadyumna's birth?
For Dronacharya, to take revenge from Dronacharya.
Dronacharya's destruction. So that tapas was there. Tapas could have been used for a higher purpose, but it was used for the sake of destruction of Dronacharya. And therefore, it is tamasic tapas.
Acharya
Similar,
Ravana also used tapas for because he wanted to just conquer the world and he becomes immortal.
all powerful. Yes, all that is tamasic tapas. Amba, for example, in Mahabharata. What did Amba use tapas for? Amba is a lady
Bhishma.
to take revenge on Bhishma because Bhishma said, I don't want to marry you, right? So she was mad at him. So Atmanaha Pedya. And Anandigiri in his commentary writes, Atma here means Deha. It's your own body. So invariably, Atmanaha Pedya, this such tapas will involve torturing your body. And Shastra doesn't look kindly upon the torture of the physical body because the body is a sacred gift from the Lord. And the body has a purpose. It is for you to get moksha. You need not, pamper the body, but you cannot injure the body. It is not yours. It's on loan. It's on loan to you. You are only in charge of the body. It's not yours. So that's one reason. And va parasya utsadanartham. So utsadanartham is vinashartham, for the destruction of other people. So in many Puranas, you will find examples, Rakshasa, performs tapas. What is the objective? To go to Swarga and defeat Indra and to, enjoy all the apsaras. So therefore, all this is tamasic tapas. Okay. In fact, there are some mantras in the Shastra for all this, but I don't think those mantras are available anymore. Or maybe they don't, work in today's environment. So this is the analysis of tapas. And here we have to,
Sir,
yeah.
what is the point of saying that following instructions of others does not that also could mean that he has inferiority and he doesn't use his own mind?
I have not understood what you said.
Sorry,
I'm-
you said that he used very erroneous understanding following the instructions of others.
No, not following instructions of others.
Sorry,
It is
I
that
must.
his understanding of the purpose of that tapas is wrong. What is the purpose of any tapas?
Okay.
It is chitta shuddhi, meant for
Okay.
improving the quality of your mind. But he uses it for, destructive purposes, which is how Amba used it. Amba could have practiced tapas for chitta shuddhi, but she used tapas to be reborn as a male. So the understanding is in your own mind. Aviveki.
Okay.
Okay. And here you must remember what Krishna says earlier in this chapter. Aharaspapi sarvasya trivido bhavati priyaha yajnas tapas tatha danam tesham vedam imam shrunu. So once tapas is over, what is there? Yajnas tapas tatha danam. So ahara is over, yajna is over, tapas is over. The next verse, therefore, should deal with danam. And therefore, we go to verse number 20. We will chant. दातव्यमिति त्यद्दानम्
दातव्यमिति
दातव्यमिति तद्दानम्
दीयते अनुपकारिणे
दीयते
कारिणे
देशे काले च पात्रे च
देशे काले च पात्रे च
तद्दानं सात्विकं स्मृतम्
Taddanam
Taddanam
satvikam
satvikam
smritam.
smritam.
Very, very beautiful verses. I don't think there is any other Shastra in this world, any text, religious book in this world which defines all these terms in so much, what they call detail. And Dhanam is considered to be a very, very important sadhana, spiritual sadhana. Why? Because number one, when you are giving, you are letting go of things. Nobody wants to let go of things. The natural instinct is to cling on to things. And you will see this from the time a baby is born, the baby will cling on to the mother. Right? The first sense of security comes from the mother. And as the child grows, unfortunately, it seeks security from other factors. What are the other factors which children seek security from as they grow? All this is
Toys.
toys,
Mhm.
possessions.
Yes.
Then as they grow further, relationships. Then as they grow further, money. So what is it saying? That everyone has this fundamental problem. Everybody has concluded that I am insecure and therefore the world has to give me security. Your entire life is predicated around this conclusion. I am so insecure and the world has to give me security. What is the problem with this particular thinking? This thinking is called delusion, moha. Why? Because everything outside me is perishable. Everything outside me is an insecure object. How can insecure things, insecure objects give me security? That question nobody asks. Until you come to Vedanta. And Vedanta says, let go of these things. Because as long as you hold on to anything outside you, remember everything outside you is insecure. And holding to an insecure object only increases your insecurity. It will not give you security. If at all you think you are secure, that is delusion, that is moha. And therefore, Shastra prescribes the first powerful spiritual sadhana. Learn to let go. And that is why dana. Learn to let go. That's one reason why dhanam is a very, very important sadhana. The second reason is that everything in this nature, in the Srishti, everything is cyclic. Right? You give something, it comes back to you. For example, when the sun shines, the river gives water, evaporates. So what evaporates, water is given to the clouds. When the rainy season comes, the clouds give you back that same water in the form of rain. Now, another thing is that your own body, for example, your body is being nourished, is taking from nature food. The nourishment takes place how? By taking from nature food and grains and water, everything. And finally, what happens? That same nature, that same Prithvi, it takes back your body. Similarly, there are so many things. If you look at the carbon dioxide cycle, there is oxygen, goes into your body. You breathe out carbon dioxide. The plants, the leaves absorb that carbon dioxide, give back oxygen. All processes are cyclic. So it is the very nature of Srishti that nothing keeps anything within itself. There is constant cycle of receiving, giving, receiving, giving. And we saw this where in verse chapter number 3 long ago. Anybody remembers?
Parjanyat anna sambhava.
Annad bhavanti bhutani
Bhavanti
parjanyad anna
bhutani
sambhavaha. Yajna bhavati parjanyaha. Yajna karma samadhayaha. And Krishna also says, Evam pravartitam chakram anuvartaya ihayaha. Agha yurendraya ramaha ham partha sajivati. The one who does not understand this cycle, he lives in vain. O Partha. Right? So the idea is, your body is part of the cycle. What cycle? Give, receive, give, receive. And therefore, to be in harmony with nature, I should follow this cycle. I should give, I should receive, I should give, I should receive. You should be a pipe. Whatever you get should be given out. Don't leave anything within yourself. Water stored in a storage tank for a long time, it festers. Right? It has to be continuously given out and continuously replenished for the water to remain fresh. Only when you do this, you will be in harmony with the universe. So that's number two. And number three is a very, very practical thing which we see. When rich people, when the wealthy people share the wealth with those who are not wealthy, not because they have to, not because of taxation, but because out of sheer maturity. Right? They see that there are people who have nothing. They see that they have more than they need, and therefore they set up. I'm not talking about just begging and giving money. I'm talking about people who set up corporations, people who set up NGOs which help the poor and underprivileged. Why do they do that? Because of maturity. They understand that as long as this rich poor gap is not reduced to minimum, there will be social unrest, there will be increase in crime. And therefore, they don't want all that happening. And therefore, Dhanam is important. And finally, is the most important idea that you are only a trustee for your body. You are not the owner of your body. You use because the Lord has given you a body. Okay. Forget the body. You are not the owner of anything. Neither your house, nor your car, nor the money in your bank. You can use them only because the Lord is permitting you to use them. Everything belongs to the Lord, and I only use these things. Once that idea is assimilated, that I don't own anything, then I will have no fear of losing anything. I can be totally without fear only when I understand that there is no cause for fear. There is no question of losing anything because I don't own them. I cannot even claim that my body is mine, right? It is a gift from the Lord. And we all know He gives it to you for some time. Use it for some time. If you use it wisely, you get moksha. If you don't use it wisely, you hand it back to the Lord and He hands you a new body in the next life, right? So this understanding one should have. And therefore, to be able to give back that body to the Lord when the time comes without resentment, without disturbance of mind, what should you do? Finally, you have to give back the body. That is the last thing you give back to Lord in this life, right? So let your whole life be a practice for that, a rehearsal. But he says very wisely, your whole life is a rehearsal for your death. Same thing. Giving back the body is the last act that you do. You give it to Agni Devata. And therefore, let us practice by giving away small things first, then bigger things, then bigger things, and then bigger things. So when Lord Yama finally comes, we can smile and say, okay, fine, you can take the body also. Right? Now look at this sloka. Yat danam diyate. Whenever you do danam, datavyam iti. Datavyam, that avyam, suffix. is a mandate. It is required to be done. It's something which is required to be done. It's a necessary sadhana. And therefore, in that dhanam, don't expect any dana phalam. Don't expect any benefit to come out of it. So, datavyamiti, whenever dhanam is done, give it as something which has to be done. And Shankara explains very nicely. Datavyamiti means evam manaha kritva yat dhanam diyate. You give with the thought in your mind that this is to be done. Right? And why is it to be done? Not because Shastra says, not because Guru says, not because your mother says, not because your father says, not because you want to look good in society's eyes. But it should be done out of the conviction, which of course comes finally out of Shastra. What is the conviction? That it will lead me to Chitta Shuddhi. And that Chitta Shuddhi will lead me to Jnanam. And that Jnanam will lead me to moksha. So Tattavyam iti. It's something which has to be done because that is the reason why I was born. Then each word is important. Anupukarine. Right? Anupukarine, Shankara defines as Prati Upkara Asamarthaya. Asamarthaya means incapable of. Prati Upkaraha means of returning the dhanam to you or returning a favor to you. So Anupukarane has finally the meaning of that dhanam given to a person who is not capable of giving you back anything. Anupukarane. And of course, Shankara adds one more line. He says that even if that person has the capacity to give it to you back, that dhanam is really called dhanam only when you do not have the expectation of that return. You are not giving dhanam with the expectation that that person, even though he's capable of giving me the money back or whatever is the object back, he will give it back. So he's saying that for a person, for Sattvika person, dhanam itself is the end. There is nothing expected from that dhanam. And that dhanam should give you joy. So it's not that dhanam will result in any future joy. But the very practice of the dhanam, the very karma itself gives you ananda. Therefore, you don't have any more expectation from that karma. And there's another commentator, Anandagiri. He writes very beautifully, one small note. He says, Dhanam eva maya bhavyam na phalam. Right? The dhanam alone is what I am getting from here. Na phalam, not any phalam. Phalam alone is the understand. This is the dhanam that I am giving. There is nothing else that I expect. And there are some rules. So there is a Desha Kala Patra. These are the rules for dhanam. Of course, most of us must have heard this elsewhere also. But here Krishna himself is saying it. Deshe. Deshe means what? Place. And Shankara says, Punye Kurukshetra Adi. If possible, give in a holy place. Like, for example, Rishikesh. Right? Shankara gives Kurukshetra as an example. Because Kurukshetra was supposed to be a place where the holy battle was fought. Right? In short, if you have to implement that in today's world, give whatever you're giving at the right place. Right? At the correct place. What does it mean? Let us say that you are going to give a blanket to a poor person. Don't give that blanket in summer in Delhi. That is the wrong place. The place has to be appropriate to the dana. So that same blanket, same place would be appropriate in midwinter. But in summer, it is not appropriate. Right? The same place becomes appropriate. Then that's a correct place should be there. Then Kale. So Shankara gives a very nice commentary. He says Sankranti Adi. So literally Sankranti means a passage. Right? So, and we know that, for example, Makar Sankranti. What does Makar Sankranti actually signify? When the sun moves from the Dakshinayam into Uttarayam. Right? Therefore, literally, it can be taken as auspicious time or appropriate time. Right? So, for example, when somebody is hungry, give him food. Don't wait until he is, so hungry that he can't eat anymore. He has to be fed intravenously. Appropriate time. Then patre. Patram is a vessel. So give it to a person who is a deserving vessel. Right? And here it is, a very big dilemma. Because when you give money to the fellow who's asking you for money at the traffic signal, how do you know whether he's patra or not? How do you know whether he will take that money back and feed his children? Or more likely, he will take the money back and be found drinking in the evening. Right? And therefore, this is a very subtle point. Before giving dana, you should inquire whether that person is deserving of that dana or not. Patra. And if you are not satisfied that he is deserving, don't give the dana. But we should always make an effort to find somebody because we are supposed to give dana. So make an effort to find somebody who is deserving. Of course, Shankara gives a very good definition of patra. Now, very practical today. But he says that the patra is the person who has studied the Veda along with the six Angas, Siksha, Kalpa, Vyakaranam, Niruktam, Chandaha, and Jyotisha. This is the person who is appropriate to receive dana, which means what?
Brahmanas and
Brahmanas, because Brahmanas are not supposed to work. They are supposed to teach. And therefore, how will they eat or run their families? Through dhanam alone. But in his commentary in Udartha Deepika, Madhusudana Saraswati says we can take patra as protector. Right? He says pati rakshati iti pata. The one who is capable of protecting himself as well as the giver of the dhanam. Very nice definition. The one who gives you, the one whom you give dhanam to, he is capable of protecting himself and also he is capable of giving you protection. You are the dhanam giver. He is capable of giving you protection because why? Because he has shastric learning. And of course, we can add a note here. Dhanam does not mean only giving money. You can give time, you can give knowledge, you can give service. Everything is dhanam only. Okay. Now we go to the next verse. Yattu pratyupakarartham
Yattu
प्रत्युपकारकं
pratyupakaraartham
फलमुद्दिश्य वा पुनः
फलमुद्दिश्य वा
फलमुद्दिश्य वा
पुनः
पुनः
दीयते च परिक्लिष्टम्
दीयते च
दीयते च
परिक्लिष्टं
परिक्लिष्टम्
तद्दानं राजसंस्मृतम्
Taddanam
Taddanam
Danam
Rajasam
Rajam
Smritam.
Smritam.
So now we are coming to Rajasic Dhanam. So Prati Upakarartham. So when the time comes, he says, Shankara adds, Ayam Mam Prati Upakarishyati Ityevam Artham. So you are giving the Dhanam with the thought in your mind that I am giving him something and he now owes me something. Right? So in English movies, you see this, you owe me. Right? You owe me, thought is there. I have given you Dhanam. Now I have done you a favor. And sometime in my life, I will recall that favor. I will call in that favor. So that is called Pratyupakarartham. That he is expecting that favor to be repaid. And therefore, Phalam Uddishya. He expects Phalam for this Dhanam. So you have to connect this to Pratyupakarartham. By giving that Dhanam, he expects that there will be a karma phalam for that dhanam. And Shankara adds, phalam va asya dhanasya me bhavishyati adrishtamiti tat uddishya. Some people, even though they don't expect any return, so there's a very clear and subtle distinction here. If I give the dhanam to somebody, expecting him to give me the dhanam, that of course is rajasic. But I may not expect that person to give me dhanam, right? So if I'm giving, let us say, 100 rupees to a beggar on the street, obviously I don't expect that person to give me anything in return. But he says, adrishtamiti tadudashya. That if you expect that it is going to give you adrishta punyam, what are you saying? That even though this fellow to whom I am giving the money is, I don't expect any money, any return from him. I expect Chitragupta to open his register and write my credit that this fellow has given Dhanam. Record the action of Dhanam, which is what I am registering Punyam, Adrishtam. So that also is Rajasic. It is not sufficient not to expect a return from the person whom you are giving Dhanam to. But you should not expect the Lord to register Punyam also. Very nice observation. What happens if you don't give that? Or you can ask, right? So there is a very nice verse, Subhashita. Adana doshena bhavet daridraha daridra droshena karoti papam. Papat avasyam narakam prayati punaha daridra punareva papi. Very beautiful verse. Adana doshena bhavet daridraha. Daridra doshena karoti papam. Papat avasyam narakam prayati punaha daridra punareva papi. Let me try to explain. Adana doshena, because of the defect of not giving adanam, because of the defect of not giving danam in this life, adana doshena, in the next life what will happen? Bhavet daridraha. You will be daridraha, poverty stricken. Because you did not give in this life when you had money to give, in the next life you will have no money to give. And therefore you will not be able to give. That's not enough. Daridra doshena karoti papam. Because of the poverty that you are born in the next janma, papam karoti, you will tend to commit papam. Right? And if you think that is not true, look at the world around. It requires tremendous amount of conviction and maturity to avoid corruption if you are struggling for your own one meal a day. And therefore, if you are born in Daridram, if you are a poverty-stricken person, the chances of violating dharma are very, very high. Therefore, Daridra doshena karoti papam. You will commit papam. And because of that, papat avasyam narakam prayati. Because of that papam, you will definitely enter naraka once again. And therefore, punaha daridraha punera eva papi. Once you have become a daridraha, you will become a papi. And the cycle will continue. Punaha daridraha punera eva papi. From daridram to papi, from papi to daridram, daridram to papi. Therefore, phalamuddasyaha means even for the sake of punyam and better birth, the next janma. Okay. Then pariklishtam diyate. The pariklishtam is defined as with reluctance. Pariklishtam diyate, dhanam given with a bit of reluctance. I have to give. Right? So, for example, why did I give so much? If that thought strikes you after you have given dhanam, then understand that you have given out of fear, not out of maturity. A lot of people, they think they're afraid of Ishvara, they're afraid of the Papam, right? And therefore, when somebody comes to, in fact, I remember in Kerala when that beggar used to come to beg, he would have some choice abuses up his sleeve, all sastric abuses. If you didn't give, he would say, you know that you're going to hell, don't you? You're going to naraka for this. So out of the fear of that consequences of not giving, some people give. That's not really dhanam, because it is given out of fear, not out of understanding the value of the giving. And therefore that dhanam is also rajasic dhanam. So in sattvic dhanam, there is no expectation at all. It is given out of maturity that dhanam is good for me and for others. So sattvic dhanam itself is the end of the story. You don't have anything more to say. It's given. Dhanam is done, over. In rajasic dhanam is a means to an end. Good life. So there is expectation. Therefore, sattvic dhanam is dhanam without expectation. Nishkama dhanam. Rajasic dhanam is dhanam with expectation. Sakama dhanam. Basic difference. So, what about tamasic dhanam? That we will see in the next verse. Adesha kale yaddanam.
Adeshakale yaddanam
Deshakale yaddanam
Apatrebhyascha diyate.
apatrebhyascha
Apatrebhyascha
diyate
Asatkritam avajñatam.
asakrutam
asakrutam
avagyatam
avajñatam
Tamasamudharatam.
tamasam udharitam.
tamasam.
So we come to tamasic dhanam. And what is tamasic dhanam? Yat dhanam diyate. Whatever dhanam you give, where he gives the rules. Adesha kale. So adesha akale. If you give at the wrong place at the wrong time. So as Shankara defines each word, adesha means apunya deshe. What is apunya deshe? It's easy to understand the word apunya deshe, where it's not a holy place. But he gives a definition which complicates things. He says, Mlecha Shuchyadi Sangi Karne. A place which is Sangikarnaha. Sangikarna is associated. A place associated with Mlecha. So Mlecha is a Shastric word which is indicating people who are outside the Varna system. Okay, so that's all the word outcast. The word outcast means outside the four castes. So Mlecha, people who are outcasts. And why are they outcasts? Veda Bahya, who are outside the system of the four Vedas. They don't have value for Vedas. And therefore, they are Ashuchya, impure. Right? That is the definition of Adesham. Other place which is populated with or associated with people who do not have value for the Veda. Right? Now, unfortunately, if you use that definition, most of the places today which you see, they are Adesha. Right? How many places are there in India today where people have value for Veda? Well, anyway, that's the definition. Then Akali. In Akali, he says very clearly the wrong time, a time which is not declared by Shastram as a sacred time. That is the meaning of Akali, which Shankara gives. Right? And Madhusudana Saraswati adds that Akali is also during the period when you yourself are subject to Ashaucha. Right? Ashaucha is a very important word for the Vaidika. When are you Ashaucha? Impure.
When you have not bathed or done puja yourself.
That is one. There are many other examples where you've been to a cremation ground. Right? What is the first thing you should do when you come back?
Take a bath.
Take a bath. So if you go to the cremation ground and on the way back you give Danam, that is Akali. If you go out of your house in the morning before you had a bath for a morning walk and give Danam, that is Akali. Right? So this is all the definitions which are given in the Shastra. Then Apatrebhya. Apatrebhya means without knowing whether the person is the correct recipient, without knowing how it will be used. So without knowing basically whether you are contributing to good or to evil. So because if he goes and funds terrorists with the money, then you're contributing to evil. Right? So that is why he says, before giving, you must inquire what is the person giving the money, you're giving the money, going to use it for? Is he appropriate vessel or not for receiving the money? And Shankara adds a commentary that even giving to a person who does not know how to handle money is a patraha. Giving to a thief, of course, is a patraha. And asatkritam. Asatkritam means priya vachana rahitam. So if you are giving dana, you should give with priya vachana, pleasing words. Right? If you are rough with a person whom you are giving danam to, if you make him feel small, irrespective of whatever you give, that danam is a patra. It's a satkritam. It's not good danam. It is tamasika danam. And of course, Shankara adds, pada prakshalana pujadi rahitam. So So that is, it means, Pada Prakshalam means washing the feet of the receiver, which in today's words, you can convert it to if the Danam is not given with due respect. And Puja Adi Rahitam, without honoring the receiver. So a very important part of Danam. When you give Danam, you are of course blessed, providing the person whom you give Danam to, he also feels blessed to receive the Danam. If your behavior is in such a way that you are not giving due respect to that Dana, to that Doni, the one who is receiving Danam, that Danam is Tamasika. And Shankara says here that even if all the other rules, Desha, Kala, Patra, are followed, but if it is Asatkritam, if it is given without honor, then the Dharam is very, very tamasika. And Avagnatam, the next one. Avagnatam means Patra Paribhava Yuktam. Paribhavam means it is with contempt or as an insult. Paribhava Yuktam. Dhanam given even to a person who is appropriate person for receiving Dhanam. But if it is given as it's an insulting attitude, what will happen? The receiver feels small. And therefore, I have to, when giving Dhanam, we have the extra responsibility of ensuring that he does not feel, the receiver does not feel bad because he has to beg. You should do nothing which makes him feel that he is being insulted. In fact, our attitude should be such that the receiver should be made to feel that he is doing you a favor by accepting that. Take that extra care to ensure he does not feel bad. And if you don't do that, that tamasam udharatam. That dhanam is a tamasic dhanam. So in all these, what is Krishna saying? Sattvic dhanam is the best. Rajasic dhanam is one step lower. Tamasic dhanam is the lowest one. And we should add, even tamasic dhanam is better than no dhanam at all. Okay. So all the four topics, ahara, yajna, tapaha, and dhanam have been concluded. Then Shankara says over here, he is introducing the next sloka. He says we can take all these karmas, which are yajna, dana, tapa karma, and which are defective, as effective to make them effective. If all these defective karmas, which you have, defective karma means all the mistakes which have been made, which we said we should not make, right? All those you made them, but you can still convert, and you've done the dhanam. You're given dhanam already, making all those mistakes or some of those mistakes. Dhanam is either rajasic or tamasic. But he says you can convert them all into non-deficient dhanam by following the advice given in the next shloka. So that is the reason why the next shloka is there. So we will chant that next shloka, 23rd one. Om Tat Sadati Nirdeshaha
Om Tat Sat iti
Om
nirdeshah.
Tat Sat iti
Nirdeshah.
nirdeshah.
Manastrivida Smrataha
Brahmanas
Brahmanas
Trividas
Trividas
Smritaha.
Smritaha.
Brahmanastena Vedascha
Brahmanastena
Brahmanastena
Vedascha.
Vedascha.
Yajnascha Vihita Puraha.
Yajnascha Vihita
Vihita.
Pura.
Okay, so here the solution is to, to rectify the mistakes. Om Tat Sat, which we often say all the time as Vaidikas, that Om Tat Sat is one word which is actually three names for the Lord. And the word Om, remember, is derived from Avadhat, the root Ava in Sanskrit. And that is Avati, Rakshayati, Palayati, Iti Om. What is one of the definitions, one of the derivations of Om? Avati, Rakshayati, Palayati, Iti Om. So, which means Rakshana Karta, Palana Karta, the protector of everything. And especially protector of me, the devotee. I am the sadhaka, and that Om, which is the Lord, protects me from everything. And Tat. Tat is that which is Sarva Pramana Agochara. Not available for any of the Pramanams. And therefore, Tat can be taken as Aprameyaha, that which is never a object. And Sat. Sat is that which is eternally in the form of Satta, existence itself. Existence principle always. Therefore, if you put them together, Om Tat Sat can mean can be taken as the always existing, not ever an object, protector of the universe and of me, of course. Right? So he says Brahmanaha Nirdeshaha. So what is Nirdeshaha? Nirdeshaha means something which reveals something. Nirdishyate anena iti nirdeshaha. A word that reveals something is called nirdeshaha. And Brahmana nirdeshaha, this Om Tat Sat, it reveals the three names of Brahman. And Trivedo Nama Nirdeshaha Brahmana Smrataha. So there are three names for the Brahman. Om, Tat and Sat. So Om Tat Sat, it's a combined word. But we should not take it as one name. There are three different names of Brahman. And Shankara adds here that this is not at random. This is indicated in Vedanta Shastra. Vedanteshu Brahma Vidhi. It is indicated in Vedanta Shastra. And so you'll find that there are many such vakyams. Om iti Brahma, Om iti Idam Sarvam, and so on. Right? And we saw that Om Tat Sat mantra has been used by Lord Brahmaji himself when he undertakes the job of creation, Srishti, he uses the mantra. Therefore, it is a very sacred mantra. And that is why before starting any work as a Vaidika, I always use Om Tat Sat. Because Brahmaji thought it fit to use it before creating the universe. And therefore, it's extremely powerful mantra. And with this mantra, any mistakes in your activities can be rectified. And therefore, before giving dhanam and after giving dhanam, I say Om Tat Sat. So even if I have made some mistakes, all the Rajasic dhanam and the Tamasic dhanam is all converted into Sattvic dhanam. And of course, if it is Sattvic dhanam itself, then it is even more blessed. And so, Brahmanastena Vedascha Yajnascha Vihita Puraha. Pura, long ago, at the time of creation, Tena, with the help of Om Tat Sat mantra, what happened? Brahmaji Vihita. Brahmanaha Vihita. The Lord Brahma created, right? Brahmanaha, Yajnaha, and Veda. So the Lord created human beings, Yajnas, and Veda. So Yajna is that part of Vedic wisdom by which a human being can use the knowledge and the power which he has to ensure the peace and prosperity of the universe and of his own life. And if this yajna way of life is absent, remember, if you do not view your life as part of a cosmic yajna, human knowledge and power can only cause destruction of the universe. Therefore, it is said yajna alone can sustain the universe. Panchamaha yajna. It's a wise way of living. We saw this in chapter 3. Okay, next one is Veda. Why is Veda important? Because from Veda alone, we can learn the yajna way of life. Veda alone teaches you yajna. Yajna alone can bring harmony in creation, can prevent creation from being destroyed. And therefore, Brahmana, not the caste Brahmana. Any human being who preserves and promotes Vedic teaching. Doesn't matter male, female, which caste, which creed, black, white, yellow, green. If he is a person who preserves or promotes Vedic teaching, he is a Brahmana. So a person who promotes Veda by his very lifestyle and by his teaching, he is a Brahmana. This is the definition given by Shankara. And just to give you another view, Madhusudana Saraswati gives a different view. He says Brahmana Vedascha Yajnascha. It means Karta, Karanam, and Karma. The doer, the instrument, and the deed. So Brahmana is the Karta, Veda is the instrument, Karanam, and Yajna is the deed, the Karma. And therefore he says Brahmana here is a Upalakshanam, a general word used for Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas. Why? Because they are the only one entitled to yajna. So Vaidika karma. So he excludes Shudras from the definition of Brahmana. And he says Brahmana here means all the three castes which can do yajna, Vaidika karma. And therefore this sloka is a great glorification of the mantra Om Tat Sat. So with this, we'll stop for today. Any questions?
Om sir, in the Danam, is anonymous Danam anywhere mentioned and its value?
I would like you to answer that question. It's a good question.
Uh,
Anybody wants to answer the question?
Yeah, it is
I would
preferable.
say, sorry, please go on.
No,
Please.
no, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I would consider it sattvic because it is unselfish and it is given without any particular, say preferences or anything, and to an appropriate person.
No. Anonymous doesn't mean that. Anonymous just means your name is not known.
Yeah, it's
So I
without
would say,
recognition of
I would
any
say
recognition.
you can classify it as not Rajasic, that is all. To qualify as
I
Sattvic,
can't. Okay.
you need other things.
Okay.
If you are giving anonymous, the only thing you are doing is you are making sure your name is not known. And therefore, it
Yes.
is not Rajasic from that point of view. But whether it is Sattvic or Rajasic, you have to look at the other parts also. It's not that
Mm-hmm.
anonymous automatically makes a Sattvic.
Okay.
Deshe, Kale, Patra, everything has to be seen.
Right.
Acharya ji, Danam given for soldiers, taking it as a duty, is it a Danam, Sattvic?
Well, you could take it as Dhanam. And giving for soldiers means giving for the benefit of others. So that is Sattvic. Yes. Each component needs to be examined. Then only you can find it. That's why Deshe, Kale. You examine all the three components and then decide. There are
Om.
no universal rules for this. You have to do the analysis and then fine. Yes,
Om.
somebody, yeah, Amarish.
Quite often, it becomes very difficult to ascertain whether the receiver is deserving or not. Going that deep and ensuring the end use of Dhanam, that becomes very difficult. And so that's a dilemma often faced.
That is a dilemma. So what we normally do is we would go and give it to a place which should have the responsibility of ensuring, like you give it to a temple. So maybe the temple would be feeding others, or give it to
Yes.
NGO, which does something which the reason. But as you say, it's a very difficult dilemma. How do you decide? That is always difficult.
Yeah, very right.
Yeah. So there's no
Yeah.
easy solution to that. You can't go and ask every beggar, are you going to drink or eat with this?
Yeah. True.
Yes,
Thank you.
Lataji.
Raviji,
Yeah.
this is noticed from maybe other sources where people tell that though donated in temple uses it to make their own funds. It's nothing that I witnessed, but it's heard from others. So even donating in temple becomes a question nowadays. And how do we approach this, and what is the right thing to do?
I would say that, it's you don't want to donate to a temple, it's fine. But donate, you must. It's never difficult to find a person who needs money. If you look around your own circle, you have maids, you have cooks. Does the maid need money? And then definitely, right? Supposing the maid's kid wants to go to school and doesn't have enough money. You can say, fine. And you want to be extra careful, you'll say, okay, fine, I'll pay for the school fees, but I won't give you, I'll give to the school. There are so many ways.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
Okay. So with this, we'll stop for today. Om Purnamadav
Om
Purnamidam
Purnamada
Purnat
Purnamidam
Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva
Purnameva
Vashishyate
Vashishyate
Om
Om
Shanti Shanti
Shanti Shanti
Shanti
Shanti
Om Tat Sat Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you for your patience. Om 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 Om.
Thank you very much.